We're bringing you all the highlights from the 10th Financial Services Sector Conference hosted by the Association for Black Securities and Investment Professionals. A thought-provoking discussion took place looking at the importance of good governance and leadership on the African continent. Some of the world's oldest and most long-serving presidents are African. Zimbabwean President Robert Mugabe is 89 and in office since 1987. Ethiopian President Girma Georgis is 88 and in office for 12 years. José Eduardo dos Santos has been the president of Angola for 34 years. These examples raise questions around the future of leadership in Africa. Is the continent allowing its youth to rise to positions of power? Is the continent open to new ideas, new strategies, new thought leaders? Rwandan High Commissioner Vincent Karega gives us an idea of the transformation and modernization that is taking place on the ground.
If one comes to Rwanda, the first question they ask us, they say, but you guys, 20 years ago, you killed each other and so on. Now you are so proud of what you are doing. It's President Kagame. So what after President Kagame? First of all, when is he leaving? Those become the question. So for us, the question is not when is he leaving so that we look nice. If he should not leave and he's relevant, why can't he stay? I heard President Mugabe saying, sorry to quote him probably, that why are they asking him to go and they haven't asked the Queen of England to go? And she has been running for 52 years. But beyond that, our aim is not to have him forever. And him himself said one time that if after me things will collapse, then I haven't done a good job. And during his tenure, he reformed. And he continued to reform. The laws, the norms, the youth empowerment you are talking about. CEOs in Rwanda. In Rwanda, I'm in the category of those who actually must quit in the next 2 to 3 years, and I'm 50, because below me there is a booming generation of the guys and the girls we call .com. So those are the young people that when we took government in '94, were sent to America, to India, to South Africa to study. Their minimum education now is a master level. They speak French, English, some speak German, some others speak Chinese. They are very fast on computer. They type without looking, yet I need to put lanes, and I'm only conversant with Word and PowerPoint. They are in other things that we don't even understand. So from the director of the president's office, I think she is a lady, number one, and she's not 35. And she's doing so well. So it's the kind of director of our office that you can call at midnight. You are not shy of saying, Honorable Excellency, apologies. It's like, oh, what's up? What do you want? Are you on BBM, on your honors? Can you tell me quickly? Even if I'm the ambassador, I want to speak to the president and say, can you BBM me and I'll forward it to my boss. She's not expecting me to write 20 pages that will waste time to the president. What's the issue? And you'll get the feedback of your boss in the next 10 seconds.
And now we're going to be looking at Africa as a diamond in the rough. We know the continent has many pressing challenges: the lack of infrastructure, healthcare, skills, education. The list may be endless, but for some, these challenges have been turned into opportunity. Local and foreign investment continues to flow into Africa. Growth projections for the continent remain positive. Africa's economy is set to grow by 4.8% in 2013 and 5.3% in 2014. The global average is 4%. Now let's take a look at some of the discussions taking place at the conference.
You just cannot build an economy on a stop-start situation when it comes to energy. Then the next challenge is the population catch-up. We have populations. The one thing that we are quite sure of is this African population will be growing for the foreseeable future. And when you compare the cost of building this infrastructure and the level of population growth, you'll find that in fact infrastructure is continuously playing catch-up. So that is why if we continue to restrict it to that level of investment to within country by country, we'll probably not score as highly at all in our lifetime. So we'll need to learn to transport to a cross-border transportation of power, which we do right now. Few countries do it to a small extent. South Africa is a great feeder of the Southern African countries, but we need to do it a lot more, to do a proper Cape to Cairo kind of exporting of energy.
I think for the first time now we're beginning to think about infrastructure across boundaries and to look at the continent as one. For example, the most exciting for us is the North-South corridor, which is the corridor between Durban and Dar es Salaam, both at sea and on land, which is road, rail, and at sea, and looking at projects across borders, which are required to facilitate trade, to facilitate the movement of goods and people between Dar es Salaam and South Africa. But there are other corridors as well, from east to west. There's a northern corridor, and for the first time we're beginning to think about these trans-frontier infrastructure projects. The big thing is going to be the funding. And the funding, the mobilization of funding from our own resources. Because I know this is Steve Biko month, Steve Biko said, black men, you're on your own. So we as Africans are going to have to find a way of being independent, of being innovative, of organizing ourselves in such a way that we can do things.
Nigeria has the highest foreign direct investment to anywhere in Africa. Because of what? Because of our enabling investment environment. In Nigeria, a foreigner can establish any company and he can own it without having anybody, without having a Nigeria there. We don't worry about that. Come and establish. And then we also find out you can also repatriate your profit at any currency. So with all this investment, these are ways of attracting investors. Similarly, we have also found that we have also liberalized the visa regime. Now, if you want to go to, as a South African investor, you want to go to Nigeria, come to my embassy, I will facilitate and ensure that I give you multiple visas of 3 years.
I happened to be in Lagos for the first time last week, so I can definitely agree that there's tremendous stuff to be done there. The sort of issues around improving the connectivity, just in terms of cellular as well as internet connectivity, is always a tricky thing, I think, for operators and investors, because they ultimately only invest as far as they think that a market demand will carry them. And it's important that on the demand side, it also grows. And one of the biggest things that we can do as entrepreneurs in particular is that, for example, specifically with internet data, the more applications and services that are provided to people that are actually useful that they can do, the greater the demand and use of internet data. And that will then translate into greater demand that operators and investors can then feel justified to invest further in. So there's a whole ecosystem that has to keep growing there, and I do understand there's 2 or 3 hubs in sort of Nigeria now, but there needs to be that whole ecosystem that not only pushes up the supply side, but pushes up the demand side. And mobile technology becomes more useful the more applications and services that you have. Then people will use it a lot more beyond the voice and SMSs that are generally used anyway. So I would encourage not just the one-sided investment in trying to get more infrastructure down, but in investments on government and business level on creating the other ecosystem and other services and products that will drive up demand to justify more growth in that market.
Rome wasn't built in a day, and Africa certainly won't be either. But some fundamental points were made at this year's Financial Services Sector Conference. South Africa's Minister of Finance, Pravin Gordhan, reiterated the fact that there is vast room for the expansion of financial services in Africa. And Rwandan High Commissioner Vincent Karega stated that if you do not love your country, you will not love your continent. Key thoughts for consideration for a continent that is striving towards prosperity. From me, Nozi Pombandra, and the team, thank you for joining us. It's goodbye.